Ma chambre a la forme d'une cage. Le soleil passe son bras par la fenêtre. Les chasseurs à ma porte comme les petits soldats qui veulent me prendre.
We got it sold to my editor at Random House, and then I had, I think, 6 months to write the whole thing, maybe 8 months, somewhere in there, to write the whole memoir. And then it went through about 2 rounds of edits after that with my editor at Random House. Big process. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if you heard, she asked if I thought that Elizabeth Gilbert's book helped me.
I don't mean help your writing, but help bring attention
to the story. Actually, no. Interestingly enough, nobody was really. I would have thought that it would have made it really easy to sell any book about yoga, but it actually wasn't as easy as you would imagine. And the reason that my editor ended up buying the book was because it was different from Eat, Pray, Love. That it had this totally different take on it. Eat, Pray, Love is this very romantic story, you know, where she really does find everything she's looking for, and that's who doesn't want to read that story? You know, it's a great romantic story. Whereas mine is much more about the struggle and what happens when you don't find it all right away. So that was why they were interested in it.
So there was an influence, actually.
There was, yeah, but not in the way you'd think. Yeah, it was sort of the opposite of what you'd think. Yeah.
You invite the white-haired yoga buddy that was nodding, the first one you saw smiling, to this event?
Oh, you know, I don't even know where she is now. I think she actually moved to Indonesia for a while. Yeah.
We should look for her.
You're like, where's the white ponytail? Yeah, no, but I've lost touch with almost everybody from the story except for my roommate Jessica, who I'm still friends with, and when we get back together, it's like no time has passed, and she doesn't drink her pee anymore. I've grown out of that.
Does Indra know about it?
That I don't know. She asked if Indra knows about the book. I don't actually know. You know, it could kind of go either way, because they're a little bit out there, you know, they're not really like super connected. They're in their own kind of little yoga world. So I have no idea. I've thought about going to their studio and just saying, you know, I wrote this. Don't hit me. But I, you know, haven't really had a chance because I've been on tour. So we'll see if I get the courage up when I'm back home. Yeah.
Is that the real names?
No.
Okay.
No. Oh, that's so good. No, the only real name in Bali is my roommate Jessica, because she gave me permission. I asked her specifically, and she was like, "Of course, you can say anything you want about me." And I was like, "You want to talk about you douching? Are you sure? Sure you want to use your name?" And but she's just, you know, she's one of those people. She's just wide open, and yeah, she actually ended up buying 23 copies of the book because that's her sacred number, 23. So she's handing them out to people right now.
So did you take a teacher training while you were over in? You did.
Yeah, it was a teacher training.
So what can you just talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, so it was a 2-month thing, and it was like 8 hours a day of yoga and meditation. We had to read a ton of books, everything from you know, the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, the autobiography of a yogi, a lot of stuff, and surprisingly a lot of non-yogic texts as well, like parts of the Bible and things like that. Just pretty much any sacred text was considered fair game for this retreat, and they considered it to be just part of becoming a yoga teacher, is that you're going to have all kinds of avenues to God, because they did, you know, not every yoga discipline sees it as a practice that leads to a relationship or you know, some sort of connection with God, but my yoga teachers very much believe that. So we had a lot of reading, a lot of classes on philosophy and anatomy and that sort of thing. And at the end of 2 months, you know, we were certified to teach, which is sort of insane, really. That I had almost no knowledge of yoga when I went on this retreat. By the time I came home, I had basically the certification to teach anybody. It's one of the more interesting issues in the yoga world right now, is that question of, is it appropriate for people to be taking on this really significant role in some cases, in terms of like a person's bodily health as well as mental health and possibly spiritual health? Is it appropriate for them to be able to do that after such a short period of time? And I would say that for me, after that 2 months, I don't think I was there yet at all.
Did you ever end up teaching?
No. No, I've taught 2 classes. Wait, 2 classes? No, 1 class. I've taught 1 class. 2? Is it 2?
You said, I read somewhere, you said you did one at Jessica, wasn't it a wedding?
Yeah, a wedding.
And then you had to do your teacher training.
Oh yeah, okay, so 2. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're here. I also taught a class to my cousins one morning when we were really hungover at my aunt and uncle's house, out on their balcony. So I guess it's 3 classes.
Has anyone ever asked you to do a pose in one of these events?
Not yet, no.
But in your show you do.
Yeah, oh yeah, in my show I did lots of yoga poses, definitely. You know, as much as I could do while still talking. So it was a lot of like standing postures and that sort of thing. I didn't do a lot of like headstands or anything too crazy like that.
Where do you practice in Seattle?
I practice at Samadhi Yoga, which is I really like it. It's kind of an eclectic yoga studio, and it's definitely on the spiritual sort of spectrum, but it's not too like culty or you know, too extreme. It's definitely not got that like cult of personality that some yoga studios have, which I kind of like. You know, there's just lots of good teachers, and I'm not one of those sort of like, I'm in the yoga kula kind of like people at my studio. I pretty much show up after a day of writing, and you know, I'm greasy and disheveled and gross, and I do my class, and then I typically leave. So I haven't really like made a home for myself there, but it's where I go, and I like it.
Do you plan on doing a follow-up to Yoga Bitch?
Not just yet. I don't really know, actually. I mean, the future's kind of wide open in terms of what I'm going to write next. But I definitely think I'll revisit like the spiritual, you know, religious stuff at some point in memoir form, just because I'm still on that path. You know, I'm still really fascinated by religion and spirituality and the questions that lead us into those arenas. So I can already see myself putting together another book at some point about all of that.
And how, if there's such a thing as a yoga establishment, how's the yoga establishment reacting?
Beautifully, actually. Like, I'm kind of amazed. Not totally amazed. I just didn't know what to expect. I really didn't know. I thought it could go either way. I didn't know what to expect. But I've heard from a lot of people that a lot of people have told me that I'm saying things that everybody's thinking, but not necessarily saying. Which isn't to say it's not being said. Like, there's some women here from Recovering Yogi, which is kind of a website that is devoted to putting some of these other ideas out there and questioning the assumptions in the yoga world. And so there's definitely a lot of that sort of thing afoot, because it has gotten so big, and there's been so much press about some of the more sort of hypocritical sides of the yoga industry, more complicated sides of it. So the timing seems to be good for people to be open to it. Now, there have been a few voices out there that I think have maybe taken offense a little bit, but that was to be expected.
Right. You would have done a good job if everybody.
Right, if everybody was happy with me. Yeah, you had a question?
I was just curious, how does one prepare to go away from your life for 2 months and actually pay for it? What are the nuts and bolts of that?
That's a really good question. Well, first you start by stealing from your yoga studio. That's what I did. No, I did that. You'll have to read the book to understand what I'm talking about with that. But I can't humiliate myself anymore with that subject. But what I did, I was fresh out of college, so I was pretty broke. But I'd been saving money to move to New York, and I was working 3 jobs at the time. And I basically just squirreled away every single penny that I could. And at that time, I'll be honest, it was much easier than it would have been to do it now. I mean, that was 10 years ago. And fresh out of college, the jobs that I had were managing my grandparents' finances, which my father paid me like $15 an hour to do, and I worked in a pub as a waitress, and so all I had to do was hand over my shifts to a couple people, and I worked part-time in the law office where they could, hire a temp for the months that I was gone. So it was very easy at that point. But I sold a lot of things, like all my clothes. I took back all my Christmas presents. I sold like 3 books because that was all I could really part with. That was hard. but yeah, it would be much, much harder to do it now. I'll admit. Yeah.
How many languages do you plan on publishing in, or are you publishing in?
Well, at the moment, I just actually got back from Holland, where I was doing some events there that was really fun. So it's going to be in Dutch, Russian, Hebrew, and German so far.
Not Spanish, though.
No. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, they can all buy later.
Yeah.
They can. Anytime. Anytime they want to. But it's just really fun. I mean, it's all gravy at that point. It was so much fun after we sold the book to Random House. Within just a couple months, Danielle was on the phone with me saying, "Oh my God, Germany wants the book." And I hadn't even anticipated that sort of thing would start happening at all. So that's really fun. And it's been really fun to talk to people over there because they're asking all the same questions. I had a whole day with journalists in the Netherlands on Saturday. And